Okay. So I did a thing. And for those of you listening, I have my eyes covered right now so I don't look into my monitor. But I am in the last class of the semester and I had class tonight, but I was like, okay, let me prep for when I'm done so I can go here and talk about episodes 1 and 2 of Spartacus. And I knew I wanted to do my hair like Achillia. Um, and so I sat on the couch, no mirror, no nothing, just vibes, a rat tail comb, and memory. And so I have no idea what my hair looks like. And like, promise, right hand to God, I have no idea what my hair looks like. But I do my hair all the time, and I was trying to like trust the process and the pathways of my fingertips into my scalp. And obviously it's not as long as hers, but we're gonna do a live reveal right now. Okay. Un, deux, trois. Okay, wait, it's not that bad. Wait a minute. Okay, so she has like 2 braids on the side and then she has 2 at the top. Let me get closer. Just to be close. Okay, here y'all go. For those watching, come on, bro. I did the middle part with a rat tail comb and then like a little bit of that and then I just like went down. Bro, do I know my hair or do I know my hair? When you've been doing your hair since you were 6 and you're 36, you might know a few things. So this hair is inspired by one Achillia, played by Tenika Davis, who stars in Spartacus, House of Ashur, which we will be recapping a teensy bit and reviewing and going over our thoughts of the first couple of episodes of the series thus far. In this recap. So what is up and welcome back to another episode of So There's That. I am your hostess, doing the most is Kevon She, and we are here with voila, yes. And we're here to talk about Spartacus. So I hate when I forget to stop talking to like a wall or whatever. Like I have a certification in teaching. I should know better. We're gonna do this a little bit differently for the first 5 episodes. So I had the opportunity to interview Stephen S. DeKnight, who is the creator of the show, of the whole series. Nick E. Tarabay, who is Ashur, Tenika Davis, Achillia, Claudia Black, who plays Cossutia, India Shaw Smith, who plays Viridia, Cossutia's daughter, and Jaime Slater, who plays Cornelia, who's the wife of Julius Caesar. And because of that, a lot of us just impressed who got this opportunity, we were allowed to see the first 5 episodes of the 10 episode series. So instead of doing like predictions and stuff like that and putting myself in the situations to accidentally give away a spoiler, or if y'all are like, oh, well, you already saw it. So, like, your prediction, you kind of already seen it or whatever. So, for the first 5 episodes, we're not going to do any predictions. We're just gonna go over, like, the meat of the episode and just the thoughts moving forward. Again, I did not see all 10. I have no idea what's going on. But I love the franchise. Like, when I think of franchises that have nothing to do with Dick Wolf, like I feel like Law and Order SVU is in its own thing. When I think about franchises for me and like which ones were really important, especially during like peak TV, like peak TV was happening in like 2010, 2011, 2012. And I think of The Walking Dead. I think of Game of Thrones. And I think of Spartacus, especially because the original actor from season 1 had just like progressive, kind of out of nowhere cancer, and he ended up passing away. And so for me, it was just like, dang, do I watch season 2? Do I continue watching the show? Like, there was such a significant impact with the casting and with the story that this was one of the first shows in my memory as just like, am I gonna keep watching this? And so for those of you who don't know, we're just gonna do a quick little update, especially because I mentioned him. Okay, so Spartacus was originally played by Andy Whitfield. He was only in season 1, and he ended up passing away like kind of in between season 1, season 2. And his role was taken over by an actor. I don't want to just guess. I think I know his name, but I don't want to just say it. It was taken over by, why don't you have it on here? There it is, Liam McIntyre. I was like, I was mixing up their first names with the other person's last name. And it was tough, right? But it happens. I think it was the first time that I was really like faced with death in real life for somebody in something I was actively watching versus, I love Golden Girls. Like, nobody's business, can quote every episode, even right now. And some of them were like already passed when I was one of them was already passed when I was like really getting into it. And so it was like, oh, well, this show had already aired, so it makes sense. And this was the first time it was like, this show is airing and something happened. And yeah, that just had like a really big emotional impact on me, especially given the story, right? They are, he's a man. He's torn away from his tribe, his city, his wife, and he's forced to become a slave, and he's rebelling against the Dominus, which was Badiatus, and sparked this whole movement. And not necessarily because he was like the greatest fighter, but he just had the biggest heart of it all. And so it was just one of those stories where at that time, I think like society, or at least TV, really wanted a hero, and a hero that wasn't big, macho, the buffest, the fastest, the smartest, but somebody who was normal and relatable, but just had such a purity about them. And I think in the writing with Steven, kind of creating this franchise, it just really like sparked a movement. And so now all of us who were in our 20s when this came out, we're in our 30s, okay? And we're here with Nick, who is reprising his role as Ashur, who, if you watched the show, his head was cut off by Naevia in season 2. And in the interview with Nick, he says that he was approached by STARZ and Lionsgate, and they were like, hey, we want to do something with Spartacus again. And mind you, it's been 12 years since the last like Spartacus season ended. And he says he kept circling on like, okay, Ashur was like, I'm going to inherit everything that your husband ever owned, and that's going to be the rise of the House of Ashur. And, he was like, I was thinking about that line and I just couldn't let it go. So I'm like, how do I make this happen? So he's twiddling his thumbs. He's thinking, he's doing what writers do. You know what I mean? You're getting that good coffee. You're going to your good coffee shops. You got your laptop. You got your notebooks. You got your music. You got your whatever. And you're just like getting into the space. And it's like, well, wait a minute. This is like Roman mythology, Greek mythology territory. We're dealing with the fates. We're dealing with alternate realities and alternate forms of living. And so he landed on, okay, Ashur dies. When he dies, he's kind of in some type of purgatory or maybe his own version of hell, where Lucretia, who's played by Lucy Lawless, and she actually reprises that role in the pilot, is like, there are threads of our lives with multiple endings and multiple decisions based on, what we could have done and what we could have chosen. Would you like to know what your life looks like if you actually did inherit all of my husband's riches and you were the one to kill Spartacus? And that leads us to episode 1, titled Dominus. Now, before we get into it, y'all know we got to do the original spiel where we talk about the director, who's writing, production designer, all the things that make it come. If you are new to my page because of Spartacus, the very first episode or first time that I talk about a show, I list everybody who makes like the magic happen plus like the main cast. Subsequent episodes after that, I just do who directed it, who wrote it, and who served as cinematographer or DP. Because the cast members are kind of like steady-ish. So yeah, if you're new, welcome. It's a good time here. And we're going to be here every week, every Sunday, giving people the time to watch it between Friday and Saturday because I don't want to hear a word about spoilers. And before we get into something, the director of the first and second episode is Rick Jacobson. The writer for episode 1 is DeKnight, and for episode 2 is Aaron Helbing. The cinematographer is Garbett. The production designer is Iain Aitken. The editor is Allanah Bazzard. Costume design is Barbara Darragh. Music is Joseph LaDuca. And then we have our cast, which I don't know why I didn't write these names on here, but Tarabay plays Ashur. Graham McTavish plays Korris or Doctore. And in my notes, I think I wrote Korris, but if you ever hear Doctore, they're the same person. Tenika Davis plays Achillia. Claudia Black plays Cossutia, wife of Garbett. We have India, who plays Viridia, Cossutia's daughter. And we have Jaime Slater, who plays, and I'm including her because I talked about the interview, but she plays Julius Caesar's wife. We have Jordy Weber, who plays Tarkhan. And then there's 3 people on here that I need to look up because I was literally doing this in the middle of class. So we have Jamaica Vaughan, Ivana Baquero, and Leigh Gill. So let's look this up. All right, so if you're here because of Spartacus, listen, sometimes I am, a little unorganized because I have a lot going on and I do all of this by myself. So, first off, what? Okay, Jamaica Vaughan. Is this her name for real? Jamaica Vaughan. I'm looking at the picture right now. She plays Hilara, she is a lover of Ashur. Okay. And then we have Ivana Baquero, who I think I know exactly who that is. Ivana Baquero. Yes, she plays Messia. So Hilara and Messia are Ashur's lovers, but I love their names because it's like one is funny and one is messy. And when I tell you, I love shows like this because the names do correlate with like personalities or like archetypes or just pathways in which the character is going to take a journey. I love it so much. It's so funny to me. Oh my God. I don't know why, bro. But I love these names. Steven, how did we get here? Are these names for real? like somebody's name in real life. Okay, and then Leigh Gill. Let's look you up. I think I know who Leigh is. Yes. So Leigh Gill plays one of the gladiators, Satyrus, and he is one of the siblings who we will talk about in one of these episodes. And I'm pretty sure it is episode 2. Yes. And he's part of the Brothers Ferrex. So quite a few names. I just listed off the names in the order that they were listed on the opening credits. So that's who we have here. Now that my brain is like trying to function again, Zoom class was 3 hours and it's on a different time zone. So it was later for me than everybody else. It's crazy, but y'all don't want to hear anything about that. Anyways, okay. So how I kind of broke down both of these episodes, we're going to go episode by episode. But I kind of talk about like the opening of the episode and like kind of things that's happening there, and then the middle of the episode, and then the end of the episode. After we go through both episodes, I'm gonna just give my overall thoughts of like what I think about everything so far based on what I'm looking at off of these 2 things. Follow me? Okay. So episode 1, Dominus, I kind of already gave y'all the recap that, you know, Lucretia is the reason that Ashur has a second chance at life, and he has now inherited the house Batiates, which is now the house of Ashur. And Crassus is basically like bankrolling this whole thing. And, you know, it's his name that gives Ashur the that status and the credibility to, you know, be looked at as somebody's leading his own house. Okay. So he's finally leading the house of the prophecy that he proclaimed of the rise of the house of Ashur. So we are back in Capua, baby. And Ashur wakes up from this dream, and the dream is the recap, which is perfect. And, you know, you have Messia, you have Hilara, and they're like, babe, are you all right? Like, what's going on? And, you know, he's like, you know, it eludes grasp of waking mind, right? Because he can't remember what it is. It's like right on the edge of things. And so for those of you kind of wondering, like, okay, how are they going to do this? It's not that he forgot that he was a slave and a gladiator once, but like all of the events leading to and surrounding his death are like at the edge of his mind. Okay. So that's kind of like where we're operating. But y'all already know how Ashur is. We wake up, we move on. That's just what he does, right? He true to this, not new to this. So, you know, the people and, you know, the people in his house, he has his lettuce. They're out there, they're doing everything. And, you know, he's chilling. He come downstairs, he checking on them. He got his swill of the morning. But, you know, they're like, I heard that you killed Spartacus when his back was turned. That's not noble. So how did you get your own house? And who are you to tell us what we're doing? Okay. So the person who was running his mouth, Ashur was like, let me show you who I am. So he tells Korris, we're not using no wooden sticks. Give me the sword. Okay. Emphasis on the W. So he gives my man the sword and he throws his to the ground. Still got his morning swell, okay? And they get to fighting. He's ducking and dodging with ease. He's not even breaking a sweat. Hilara's looking on and she's like, yes, my man, my man, my man, my baby, my baby. And, you know, the guy is being made to look like a fool in front of all of his fellow gladiator friends because, sir, You should have shut your mouth. But what I love about Ashur in this moment, again, I said, I am certified in instruction. I'm actually a master instructor. And I bring this up because Ashur is not just showing off, he's vocalizing all the ways in which he's able to anticipate this fighter's movements towards him. So it's also a lesson, not only to the person that's fighting, but a lesson to everybody around him. Hey, I'm able to predict what you're doing based off how you're moving your body weight, your breathing patterns, where you're moving your shoulders, how you're flipping, the weapon from one hand to the other. So it's a teaching moment. He's not just showing off for the sake of showing off. And I value that. Like, even if I don't like somebody, if you know how to teach, I will respect you. Every teacher is not a teacher. And Ashur, out the gate, you see why he was loved. Like, yeah, he was probably, making us punch the air back in 2012. But his mind and the way that he thinks and just the charisma and just like that swag that he has, you're just back in love with this character. And so the guy, he makes a fool of himself, and Ashur's like, listen, I haven't even taken my morning piss yet, but hey, let this be a lesson to you all. And when his back was turned, old dude is mad in his feelings, didn't listen to anything that Ashur was saying. Like, the lesson is for you too, my dude. And he swings at him with his real sword, but Ashur can hear and sense all he's seeing. So he turns around for some time, and the guy cuts the vase that was holding his drink. And so Ashur's like, all right, and proceeds slice his femoral and his carotid and left the edges of the vase inside of my guy's neck. Now they have to kill you. Sir, I'm supposed to be using you in these games. But you know what? My mind was, if he got that emotionally hijacked, he was going to die in the sands anyway. So, like, you did everybody a favor, right? But, like, boom, out the gate, Ashur is letting you know he is that dude, and he is not the one nor the two. He is not like these other people in these houses who sit up and they got their nice gowns and they got their jewelry or whatever. None of them ever graced the sands. He did. And I love that he has the experience to back up what he's trying to get them to do. At the end of the day, like me, especially when I was instructing, I'm never going to ask you to do something that I'm not physically, mentally, emotionally, spiritually capable of doing on the spot. And so Ashur doing that, he can do it on the spot, which technically, and not technically like a technicality, but technically as in like a physicality, it makes him better than all the other house leaders, right? Hold on to that thought. So we're moving through this episode. Again, we're getting reacquainted. But, Korris is not really agreeing with Ashur's methods. And I love their relationship so much because they like bump heads, but you could tell that they're not only brothers, but they're also like best friends. And Ashur has my man stressed the fuck out. Like, he needs him. A little boy toy. After every training session, people have 3 meals a day. Korris needs 3 men a day because Ashur is doing the most. But again, Ashur's like, I'm doing this with you. These are our decisions. And one thing that Korris will say is like, your hands, your will, my hands. And Ashur's like, no, our will, our hands. And he doesn't necessarily separate them. Like, yeah, you work for me, but inside of his walls, the treatment that you see him with everybody is a lot different than what we saw and what we know Spartacus. So they're out, they're at the games, they're chilling, you know. Ashur's like, bro, let me take you out. Maybe you can get you a new man. We can watch these games. We need a new fighter anyway. And they're at the games. And, you know, we see Cossutia, and she's there with Uvidis. And her husband, Gabinius, he's out in Pompey. But Proculus and Opiter have opponents in the ring. Now, Proculus, like, you gotta be such a good actor to play somebody who is annoying when you look at them. Like, you look at Proculus sitting next to Cossutia and you already know, like, he's a kiss ass. Then he starts talking and it's like, girl, shut up. And, you know, so they're watching the games. Ashur is making his moves. He corners Cossutia. He was like, hey, girl. Wasn't able to get a proper seating with you, but I'm so glad I caught you here. Hey, listen up. Would love to make my entry into the games as a proper house. And Cossutia is like, the Syrian who traded against his people with the Crassus to stop the rebellion. So it's like she's naming facts, but she's also naming them in a way that's like, I don't fuck with you. But if you want to embarrass yourself in front of me, then by all means, right? And so Ovidus is like, girl, what? Okay, sure. So Ashur is pissed, obviously, because he's tired of people playing in his face. So he tells Korris, he's like, hey, I don't care about nobody's fucking sleep. They finna fight till the dawn, and whoever is left standing is gonna be the one fighting a few hours later. And so Logus was left standing. And Logus is very pivotal because he is the main, like, vocalizer of the spirit of Spartacus. And I don't know if they did this on purpose, but even in the casting, he kind of like looks like him, except with a bob. So, you know, he's like, listen, we all heard the rumors about Ashur. He not like beating and whipping us like them other people was doing back in the old days, but we should be free. Like, why are we fighting for these people who disregard our lives as if they are nothing? And so, like, that spirit is still there. Hold on to it. Oh my God, what did I tell y'all to hold on to? I don't know, already forgot. What did I say? Crassus, I think. I don't know. It's late. I'm tired. So, yeah, hold on to that though. Spirit of Spartacus. This is so chaotic. It is so chaotic. So Logus wins and he's presented as the house champion. So we go back to the games and Gabinius is there. He's back from Pompey. Is he back? Yes, he's back from Pompey. And, you know, Logus is in there. He's doing his thing. He's fighting the Ferox brothers. One of the things about the Ferris brothers, and one of the things just kind of when you watch stuff of this time, like, you really have to brace yourself for how they talk about women, how they describe women, and how they describe anybody with any type of like perceived deformity or anything like that. So they are dwarfen men, but there's 3 of them and they fight as one, like as a unit. So Logus is like, I could step on them like little cockroaches, like the fuck. And it's the arrogance and his ignorance that gets him slaughtered in this ring. So Ashur's debut, quite embarrassing. And Proculus, with his fuck ass bowl cut is there, just soaking it all up. We do not like Proculus. We don't. I don't think there's gonna be anything in the back half that will ever make me like Proculus. I do not like him at all. And so, you know, this kind of is like cementing their thoughts on him. Like, yeah, you have the house, but you ain't got no champions. And you literally scrounge the dirt in the trash to get the weakest people in all of Rome. And so you can just kind of see them looking at it like, oh yeah, a lesson of putting him in his place. How dare he thinks he can be equal with us. So Ashur's like, Uvidus, friend, let me try one more time. Let me try one more time. And Uvidus is like, listen, I don't even know if they're gonna say yeah or whatever. Like, I can do what I can, but you're gonna have to bring somebody novel. You're gonna have to bring somebody new, because like nobody's wanting to let you in. So like, what makes you different, right? And this is kind of putting you in the path of, you know, having to be 10 times better just to get a seat at the table when the table is full of people that are lesser than you. Nobody else has to do any of this, but he somehow has to go pull a unicorn out of his ass just to get a second chance. Operator's dude got killed by Proclus. Does he have to jump through hoops too? No. And so Ashur is pissed. He is pissed because he has to still play these games as if he's a slave when he has his own house too. So by the end of this, they in the slave market, they going shop. They was like, this one too scrawny, this one too big, this one look like he don't eat enough, this one look like he eat too much, this one look like he don't get no sleep, like this one look like he about to fall down from the disease tomorrow, when a commotion ensues. And this woman is beating the dog shit out of some Romans, and they can't handle her. But right before she's able to fully get away, Ashur takes her, and he's like, basically, if you move, you finna see your life forfeit. And he snatches her up, and he was like, hey, y'all, her bad and mine. I got it. And they were like, she hit a Roman. I'm gonna see her head. And Ashur flexes classes, and he was like, you're not gonna touch nobody, because I am the house of Ashur, who is backed by one Crassus, and you work for him. And they're like, oh yeah, we respect him. Like, bro, like, it's all good. You said she's gonna go with you. Okay, cool. As long as she suffers, then like, cool. We gonna be all right. So, Korris is like, bruh, what the fuck are we doing? And Ashur's like, bro, a woman ain't never been in the games, bro. Did you just see what she did? I think we have a lot here. I think we have a lot going on, you know? And he's just like talking, and he's yapping, and Korris is like, oh my gosh, she's going up against man. And he's like, bro, Spartacus led a rebellion and women was in there whooping ass. Okay. Now he don't remember getting his head chopped off, but a woman chopped his head off. So it's like, what that mean? If she could fight, she could fight. So they get her washed up. She comes in. He's talking, he yapping or whatever. And so he's like, hey girl, I got a proposition. It's one that might keep you alive if you do what you did in the market up at my house. So she's listening to whatever, Ashur's chilling, and then she jumps on that desk and wraps some chains around his throat. And a negotiation is instantly, because she wasn't a slave at all. And so it's like, you're trying to offer me being a slave in your house when I was born a free woman? Sir, you got the game fucked up. But when Korris goes to try to like attack her, Ashur's like, no. We got a bargain. We cool. We all good. She needs me. I need her. We're cool. And so she bends the knee and calls him Dominus. And this marks Achillia's entry into the series. Now, before I move on to episode 2, Hilara don't like Achillia. And I feel like because she had the stank face off rip, boom, she's racist. She don't like black women. Did it help that when she came back in the room, she saw Achillia with them chains around her man, her baby? It did not. So off rip, Hilara is just like, fuck this bitch. We need to find a way to get her killed. But you know, the rest of us are like, ew, I know that's right. And for those of you who don't know, this is the first scripted gladiatrix in television history. And for it to be a black woman, yes, applause, applause, applause. I can't wait for y'all to see the interview that I did with Tenika. It's incredible. I'll give y'all the interview details at the end, for when you can catch them on this platform. But incredible to do this, right? Ulides said, have a novel idea. Ashur said, all right, bet. One fell into his lap, and he's going to pursue that. So moving into episode 102, titled Forsaken. The men are fighting. They're dirty. They're sweaty. They're swinging their cocks around. When out walks one Achillia with her vajayjay and all her might. And everybody's like, what in all of the God's name is going on? So Korris is like, hey, listen, keep y'all's dicks behind your loincloths because she finna be fighting with y'all. Don't ask me no questions. I don't make the rules. I train. So immediately he's like, all right, we finna get two grown ass men to fight you. And she's like, bruh, I just got here. Can I get a proper meal? And Korris is like, he wants you to be house champion. You finna be going up against 3 little dudes. So if you can beat 2 big ones, you in there. And she's kind of struggling because the shield is bigger than her. And it's not really working with her woman body and just the way that women move as fighters, right? And Korris is like, I don't want to hear all that. You hear? Do what the men do. It is what it is. Like, I don't know what to say. So, she's fighting Tarkhan and she's fighting Creticus. And Tarkhan is very arrogant. And he is so pissed that a woman is even in the rings that he neglects his partner and neglects communicating in there to where she gets a hit off on Creticus and kicks him in the nuts. So eventually Tarkhan does get her down, but it basically becomes into like a one-on-one fight. So when Tarkhan gets off the field, his dad, Kelladis, was like, you're the reason your partner got injured. While you sitting over here trying to gloat over beating a woman, both of y'all would have got killed. And because she's not bad. So if she was better than what she did today, both of y'all would be dead in real life. So he's all mad, he's all pouty or whatever. But you know, they go on about their business-ish. Because during mealtime, she's getting slop. But she's like, okay, whatever. I don't give a shit. And she's sitting by herself, and here comes Creticus' ass, starting shit. So, of course, Korris comes in, and he's like, ain't nobody fighting unless I say so. So now, since you want to fight, ain't no food. Get your ass back out here in this hot sun and get on these sands. So, everyone's getting punished. And Achillia is learning real quick, like, complaint is not the word. But they really antagonize her in a way where she tries to defending herself, and it sounds almost like a child, or at least the way that Korris responds to her is as if he's treating her like a child. Like, what's going on up here? She's like, bro, they're fucking with me. I don't want to hear all that. And it's just like, well, why are you asking questions? If you're going to punish me anyway, then get your ass in here and just tell us to go do what we're doing. Like, why are you asking me what's going on? Stop with the rhetoric, okay? So later on, through all the training and all these other things, Korris is like, they're getting on my fucking nerves. Ashur, we need to do something. And Ashur's like, all right, I know what to do. Give them whores, give them wines. Their favorite two W's in the world behind the W of winning a match. So they are sucking, plucking, fucking, all up and through there. I know it's steak. I know it's steak. I know it's steak, bro. But you know, what is a little syphilis? What's a little gonorrhea? You know what I'm saying? If we all got it. And Achillia's like, where my horse and wine? And Korris is like, well, when you become one of the bros, then you can get some hoes. Until then, I don't know, girl. So, you know, she's out, she's minding her business, she's practicing, she's building up that stamina. Ain't nothing else to do here. Like, she can't kick it with them. She ain't got nothing in common with them. So you might as well just fight these sticks outside and do what you can to just kind of be mad and just be in your own thoughts. But a woman can never be in her own thoughts when there are men around and when there are drunk men around and when there are drunk men with egos and drunk men with egos who just got bruised. Like, it's just a recipe for disaster. So, what's that man's name? Spartacus comes out. She mind her business. And he's like, yeah, why you doing all of that? Let me give you some of this dick. And she was like, pretty sure I've seen better. So now he mad. And Ephesius was out there too. So they're both big men. So now they're like, oh, we're finna jump her. So they are brutally assaulting her. And she is fighting for her life. And the sounds that she's making, like, it wasn't one of a warrior. It's one of desperation, and it's one of a woman trying to protect the most sacred part of herself in any way, shape, or form. And so while all of that is kind of going on, we're going to get back to it. Ashur is with Gabinius because he is like trying to weasel his way in to these games. And this is one of my favorite scenes of all 5 of the episodes that I saw. And it's like a back and forth. So Ashur reveals that Crassus's money is short, but his debt is long. And he's like, listen, I need to be making these bets. I need to make other relationships. Like, I need to make some moves. Like, you know what I'm saying? Like, this money is drying up. And there's this little back and forth thingy going on to the point where Gabinius is just like, okay, I'm sitting here, I'm entertaining you as if you're a man of the riches, but you're not. You're a slave. Go ahead and show me that slave mark. So now the mood changes, and Ashur, you know, he pulls up his sleeve, and it was mutilated because he cut it off of his skin a while back. And so Gabinius is just like, it's like this up and down of like, oh, you talk a good game, I like your mind, but you ain't shit. You do a lot and you make a lot of advances and you think very well and you're really smart, but you're the scum beneath my feet. And so Gabinius is like, what do you really think about me? And Ashur's like, you are the finest. And he's like, I don't want to hear this fucking bullshit. Everybody's always kissing my ass. Tell me what you really think. So Ashur's like, okay. You're arrogant. You're pompous. You literally get caught in mouth. He didn't say that. But he basically tells him the truth about himself and just how disconnected he is from everyone and everything around him and how he thinks people should bend for him, but there's nothing about him that they should bend for. And Gabinius looks like he wants to slit Ashur's throat. But then he laughs. And so Ashur's like, okay. But then he's like, get the fuck out of my face. And so it's just like, all right, bro. What? But he didn't live to see another day. So as Ashur is, in transit back to his house, Achillia is fighting for her life. So she does what any woman can do in the situation. She kicked Spartacus in his dick again. Punched Ephesius in his. We gotta disable them by any means necessary. So he was trying to armor her. And at lunch, when he knocked her down on the ground, he was like, I'm just teaching you to know a woman's place on the ground with your legs spread. So he's over there writhing in pain, and she gets behind him like a badass kid. You know when a kid jump on your back and they got you in a chokehold with their forearms and their legs and stuff is wrapped around you? She got on my man's back and ripped his dick off. And I love this scene so much because she kicks him over and she spreads his legs. I'm going to teach you a man's place with your legs spread. Mm. Oh my God. I'm like clenching my vagina right now. Because it was so crazy. So of course, Korris is coming out. He's like, damn, like we supposed to be all in here having sex. We're supposed to be getting drunk. Like this is my night off. What could possibly be going wrong? And here goes Ephesius bitch ass. She's gone mad. Does yours need to be on this ground too? Because I'm pretty sure she invented what we know in today's time as the Lorraine Bobbitt. Would you like for your cojones to join one Spartacus on the ground? So she's, again, trying to explain herself, and Korris is like, I don't give a fuck. Don't nobody kill nobody unless the dominus does it. So now you got, it's a life for a life up in here. So you need to figure out, like, if you could draw blood for me, you'll live. If not, I'm throwing you off this fucking cliff because I ain't got time for this. I'll deal with Ashur later. So she's like, fuck it. I ain't want to come here in the first place. Fuck all y'all. She gets her swords. He gave her that shield. She said, fuck your shield. I'm not even dealing with that. I already told your ass all day that I'm not dealing with this. It's too heavy. It don't fit. It don't move with me. Fuck you. So, she fighting. And I mean, she flipping and twisting and everything. Hilara and Messia is at the top. And Messia is like, I got to send word to Dominus right away. And Hilara's like, hell no, because I'm about to watch this bitch die. And she's getting such a sick, twisted feeling from this. She is so excited to see Achillia fight. And Korris ain't no little dude. Korris ain't no little dude, okay? So they fighting, and she finally is getting knocked down. She at the edge. He knocked that sword down. It's at the edge, and she laying there. She like, all right, whatever, fuck it, throw me over. Like, did nobody tell y'all to bring you here in the first place? And he's like, all right, bro. He was like, listen, you fought valiantly. I fucks with it. But Hades is gonna have to meet you on the other side. And as he draws his sword, blood hits her face. And he realizes, wait a minute. Her blood can't fly off her head and then land on her cheek. He goes and he touches his face. And he was cut on his cheekbone. And he said, well, I'll be God's damn. And extends his arm and picks her up. And so here goes Tarkhan, bitch ass. Oh, so you just gonna let her stay up in here? She didn't earn the rights for the brotherhood, the da-da-da. And Korris was like, nah, ne'er one of y'all ever drew blood for me. I can beat every one of y'all asses blindfolded and with one hand tied behind my back. And yet here she come and she drew blood. So here are the new rules, okay? Okay. He said, any man that plays, this is what happens when, what you call it, autocorrect be fucking you up. Because when you say it out loud, that's not what he said. He said, Any man that places undesired hand upon her shall feel my own at fucking throat. Hold on, let me see if I can do it. I need to go to bed. Oh, it's after midnight. Any man that places undesired hand upon her shall feel my own at fucking throat. So Tarkon and Hilara, big mad. And all they had to do, or what they could do, is go back inside. Everybody got a soft peen. At this point, all the whores need to go home because ain't now one of these dudes gonna be up for nothing. Well, at least like half of them. I feel like it was maybe like a solid, there's like a solid 2, 3 that can't stand her. And one of them is no mas. And the rest of them just kind of like follow in and out or whatever. They just really want to stay alive. They're not even, honestly, you look at how they fight, they're not trying to be the champions of the house. To go into the arena means to face certain death. So like, they're just kind of going with the flow. So she lives to see another day. Papa Dominus is not here, so he don't know what the hell went wrong at this moment. And it's just like, oh, well, I guess we'll see what happens when he gets back. Like, now we replaced one dead man, and now we got another dead man. So they're just operating in a deficit. You know, it is what it is, you know? So there's that. Spartacus, House of Ashur, season premiere, episodes 1 and 2. All right, let's go over my initial thoughts. Okay, so I cannot remember what I told y'all to hold on to. I'm pretty sure it was Crassus. And I don't remember. Anyway, so let me just go in order because I feel like it'll pop up. First and foremost, everybody looks so good. I don't know what it is about when you make actors look dirty, but they look sexy. Like, everybody looks good. And Ashur is looking good. Ashur's looking good. Like, it's been years, and he is looking fantastic. Hilara, girl, I get it. I think like for shows like this, it is very like macho, and there's this whole like the male gaze, female gaze bullshit that be happening on like discourse and stuff like that. But you know, they look good. So, you know, they're for the male and the female gaze. You know what I'm saying? The transitions of the show still echo of transitions past. So if you go and watch Spartacus, and if you don't have STARZ, you can watch it on Netflix. The transitions were very treadmill in front of a green screen, Microsoft 2008 PowerPoint presentation. But they still kind of keep it, and so it keeps it theatrical, and it keeps the audience member aware that they are watching a play. It just feels like you're watching a play with the way that they utilize fabric and certain fighting scenes and stuff within the transitions to get you from like one plot point to another without necessarily having to connect both realms immediately one after the other. So I like that signature style is still there. And then speaking of signature, the gore is still there. I mean, rip them to pieces, the blood, the spatter, the cuts, scrapes, and bruises, the chopping, and everything that makes Spartacus like just gory and gutsy is still there. It just looks like 2025. But it's fun, right? I don't think anybody's looking for like, I don't even know, because the story is still very well written. But it's just like, it's still gore. This is not a show for sensibilities. So, you know, if you have them. Go watch Bluey. I don't know. Ashur, being a former gladiator, I already said this. This makes him more reputable. And if you watch him inside of his home, and I mentioned this earlier, in a conversation with Gabinius, he was talking about them as slaves but Gabinius was like, are they not men? And that really kind of signals like he has to talk a certain way about the people of his house to the other Romans to try to speak their language. But then Gabinius even reprimanding him was saying like, are they not men without, with titles? Your men don't have titles. Like, what do you mean? And so it's like it's like damned if you do, damned if you don't. But I love that in his house, he does treat them like men. He teaches them. He consults with Korris like a friend. You have Hilara and you have Messia as slaves of the house and, his main, concubines or whatever. He doesn't treat them like nothing. And so everybody within his ludus has an identity, regardless of the status or the reasons that they are there. And that just speaks to because he was that. And so while he wants status and riches and wealth and all these other things, I like that he's still connected to them in that way, that he hasn't forgotten that he was once them. And so he tries to keep that in his interactions. And I think that, like, that's my favorite part about Ashur in these first couple of episodes, is that he didn't forget where he came from, regardless of the riches that are currently bestowed upon him. So I love that. I already said it. Proculus a little biatch, supreme hater. Yeah. Supreme. Hater supreme. Like, slap some lettuce, tomatoes, and some sour cream on there. Whatever makes us a supreme sandwich, a supreme taco, a supreme pizza. That is Proculus. Can't stand him. I talked earlier, that's what it was. The gladiators still having like the spirit of Spartacus. I do think this is going to show up later, especially because Ashur doesn't remember everything surrounding his former life and his death. So while this is kind of his underdog story, redemption, what if storyline, everybody don't like you. And everybody's not going to relate to that. And they're still going to want the spirit of Spartacus, the spirit of the rebellion, and the spirit of wanting to be free men and women. And so I think this is going to come back in such a big way. And I think it's going to put Ashur back in a similar position where he has to decide, are you with the rebels or are you with the Romans? And I think this time he's going to, if we want, more seasons, I think he's going to make the decision to be with the rebels, but play the Romans against themselves in some type of double agent thing. Like, it makes no sense to bring up Spartacus in that way with that much passion and bringing up Ashur's past and then ignoring it. I think the Spartacus storyline is going to be directly tied to what he can and cannot remember of his former life. Ashur's power, though. Ashur's power is fake. It's fake because he gets his respect using Crassus's name. But he can't stand Crassus either. And so it's like a double-edged sword. He's still a slave to the Roman Empire, if that makes any sense. So like, he gets to walk around and he gets to, say the things and do those things. And I'm the house of Ashur and I'm Dominus and I have all these people. But there's really only power under his rooftop. There's none nowhere else. And just even in the market, when the Romans, they looked like they were ready to fight Ashur to get Achillia back. And he had to drop Crassus's name in order to be like, oh, okay, you with Crassus. All right, oh, you're his Syrian? And even still, not you're his worker. I don't fucking know. I can't even think of the words that they were used, but you're his Syrian. Like, Syrian is being used as a word that is a weapon and that is derogatory. And not you're the Syrian, you're his Syrian, you're his slave, you're his pet that he's allowing to stay in some lavish doghouse until he gets bored with you. And that's like the language that's there. And so you're really seeing off rip, you know, when they be like, be careful what you ask for, everything that glitters ain't gold, and stop asking for other people's lives. You have story, and it's not always hyped up to be. And Cress is going broke. So like, what are we doing? And this made me think too, like with Badiatis, was Crassus going broke still too? Or is this like a new thing as Crassus trying to slowly disconnect himself from Ashur, a former slave? Like it's giving me questions of like, was Batiatis broke for real? And so when Ashur's like, I'm gonna inherit your husband's riches and it's gonna be the rise of the house of Ashur. You inherited his debts and likely his reputation. And then your being a former slave don't help that either. So I'm very curious on, as he continues to have these dreams, what he ends up piecing together and what ends up getting revealed by the time we get to the finale. Okay. Last thing is, Gabinius. Gabinius is playing on Ashur's top. And I don't like it. I don't like it. I don't like it whatsoever. I don't like it. Overall though, it's good. I'm hooked. I think y'all would be hooked. There's some things that I did not talk about purposely, because you'll see it in the interviews, especially with Viridia and Cossutia, because they had a lot of play in episode 2, but we really get into that action in episode 3. So I'm really excited to dive into the women of the series. I will also say, like, overall, where Spartacus was very much like male-centered, male-driven, the heart of it was Spartacus himself. This series, even though it's named House of Ashur, you feel like that power, that influence of Achillia. You feel Cossutia and Viridia, as the 3 women, right here, at the beginning, with kind of like their motivations and, wondering like what's fueling them and what's powering them. Even Hilara and Messia, like there's something going on. And so because we're getting a lot of like, what is that? It feels more like women have an equal footing and they're not being erased or relegated to the background of some man in this version of things. Like they exist as whole beings, even though they're still being called the same names. They're still, being looked at as slaves. They're still dealing with sexual assault and harassment and all of these other things and hierarchy and knowing your place and stuff like that. It's like their existence is still powerful in spite of. And so without changing history, other than, Achillia being the first woman, gladiator in the show and then written on TV, without changing like how women would be treated or talked to or talked about or whatever, you feel them in every scene that they are in. you feel the weight of their moments, regardless of their status in anybody's life. And that's going from Cossutia being the richest of them all to Achillia, based on her position in the Ludus, being a slave. She's even underneath Hilara, who is also a slave. Messia, also a slave. But every time they're there, you can't help but be drawn to them. And it's a really nice, fresh look, because now it's like, okay, we're getting into something new. I see how they're going to make this show work. And they didn't take away from what we know of Spartacus to make this happen. It wasn't like, let's remove the maleness and remove the gore, remove all the cuss words. No, they didn't. They kept all of that. And they said, the women are going to do the same. And I like that. There was no sacrifice to the plot and no sacrifice to the integrity and the identity of the show in order to make this happen. So shout out to Steve for coming back and making this happen for us. Because I do think more women are going to watch the show. Me, am the eldest, and I have 4 brothers, and I'm like I said, I'm the firstborn, and my dad treated me like I was a boy. So I just think it was always inevitable for me to like be drawn to stuff like this. So I feel like I'm different in that way. It doesn't turn me off for those things. But I do think that how the women are showing up and how they're written in here is going to bring more women into it, and to kind of feel a little bit more power. It's not just like one Cersei or like an Arya. It's like bunch of Cerseis, bunch of Aryas. I'm kind of relating it to Game of Thrones, because I feel like a lot of women watch Game of Thrones. It's like nah, like it's hella Khaleesi's, hella Cerseis, hella Aryas. Like no, we here, we here. And I love it. I enjoy it. And that is gonna wrap up this episode. It is late. It's getting late. Why you gotta be here? I want these views. That's why y'all gotta be here. So as far as the rollout of the interviews, so if you didn't catch it, on Friday, the very first interview with Nick and Steve dropped Friday, the day that the first 2 episodes dropped. It was a fun time. The energy was incredible. I could have talked to them. Honestly, I could have talked to them all day. I love it when a cast and crew is excited about the work that they've done, and they are passionate about the character work and the characters that they are portraying, and they're excited about the story. So it's incredible. So from there, every interview is going to drop on Fridays. So Friday, December 12th is going to be the interview with Claudia in India. And it's going to be dropping alongside episode 103, because I feel like that's when their story really expands a lot. And we really get to see a lot of them on screen and their dynamic. On December 19th is going to be the full interview of Tenika. And I already posted like little snippets. And you'll see like snippets and stuff here and there at this juncture that you're watching this. There's snippets of Nick. There's snippets of Tenika. There'll be snippets of Claudia in India. But Tenika will be dropping, coinciding with the Friday release of episode 104. Mainly because she and I talk about something that is kind of a spoiler prior to that episode, but I also feel like the stuff that we talk about and the breadth of the conversation that we have really covers the first 4 episodes and like her journey. And then you can kind of like get an idea of where the rest of her journey is going to go. And then Jenny Slater, who plays Cornelia, the wife of Julius Caesar, her interview is going to be dropping on December 26th, coinciding with episode 105, which marks her entry into the series. So yes, there's a method to my madness. But watch the YouTube shorts and the little snips and the little videos and just kind of like get little clips of, where we're going with this and feel the excitement of the characters. I'm like so sleepy right now, but I'm also really excited. I can't wait. And then once we start getting into 106 to 110, we're going back to our format of recapping, reviewing, performers of the week, all the other things that we've been doing. I'm flexible. I work for me. I do what I want. But we'll get back into it, especially with the predictions. Y'all know I love predicting things. But we'll get back into the predictions. But for right now, I don't want y'all to be like, oh, you already knew that, whatever. The only thing I predicted that I genuinely don't know is that I think the spirit of Spartacus in the rebellion is going to be tied directly to how much memory Ashur gets back. I think that's my only prediction that I'm making within these first 5 episodes. Actually, yes, when we do the review and the recap of episode 5, I will begin my predictions from there because I don't know anything for episodes 6 through 10. So we'll do it from there. Oh my God, my eyes are getting heavy. With that, guys, I gave y'all my all. Both of these episodes were 57 minutes long, and I yapped for over an hour. So I feel like I still delivered for you. So for you Spartacus fans out there, be with your girl every Sunday. I will be covering and dropping Spartacus every Sunday. This gives you Friday, Saturday, and early Sunday morning to be going over this. I will be dropping it Sunday night at 7:30 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. You got time. So don't be coming underneath my comments talking about, oh, you spoiled this or you did that and the third. You got time. I don't want to hear it. 2.5 days. Okay? So yeah, every Sunday we'll be doing that. And I think that's it. Oh my God, I can't think anymore. I'm gonna end the episode. Okay. Y'all know the drill. Like, share, subscribe, hit that notification bell. Leave comments in the comments box below. If you got people that only want to listen, make sure you share the Spotify and the Apple Podcast link. You can also follow me on Instagram at So There's That Podcast, where I post film and TV news and updates. I also post my articles and links to those articles for my Substack publication on there as well. Yes, I have an article about Spartacus. Yes, there are other clips of different interviews on there that are not on YouTube, so go ahead and check it out. You can also find me on TikTok at Keep On Chi, where I post short form reviews on content that I do not cover on the podcast. You can find me on my main Twitter page at Keep On Chi, where I talk about everything under the umbrella of arts and entertainment. And you can also follow me and find me on the official podcast Twitter page at Pod So There's That, which is kind of a mirror of the Instagram, but then there's also little nuggets that I post on Twitter that I do not post anywhere else. And do I have any announcements? I don't think I have any announcements coming up. I think that's it. That's it, guys. I'm going to bed. Good night.